Ooh. Okay. So now we're back. We're back again. I think it's picking up on this one. Yep. Because I had to disable that microphone. Um, but we're back, guys. I'm back. I'm here. I'm finally going to eat. The kids are back from their date. And mm, not the best chicken. I think maybe I got one that had been sitting for a while. Who knows? It's all good though. I don't really care, to be honest. But I wanted to come on and hang out with you guys because I've had a lot of people ask me this. I'm not talking about on this community, just in general. One, because I am on the young side and I am retiring. So I am retired, as in the big workforce, like the regular 9 to 5 kind of retired. Um, so I got asked, like, how do you do that? Like at such a young age, whatnot. And it has to do with the VA and my previous military service. So if you've been with us a while, then you know like, that I served in the military. I got injured in the military. And then I battled it out with the VA for 16 years. God, it's crazy when you think it's been 16 years. 2007 is when I filed my first claim with them. Was when I first got out of the military. And then when they finally started taking things like, seriously, it was 2009 when my inactive service was finished. Hi, Joseph. And thank you. And so finally, after a long battle, they have declared me 100% as 100% disabled due to several things. So I have quite a few things on there. It's not like all, like, it's not like just one item. So it works out really weird, like the way that they do their percentage ratings and stuff like that. They do like each thing gets like its own percentage, and then they accumulate everything together, and then they total things up, and then they give you like an overall. Well, thank you. Thank you. I wanted to make sure that people could hear me on here. I wasn't sure if this was going to work, but I figured it was going to sound better than the built-in microphone. And it allows me to be a little bit like quieter. I don't have to talk so loud. But I'm trying not to be like too loud when I eat on here, but I haven't really eaten much. I've been watching the little one today, and I was getting a bunch of stuff done. Like if you see here, I've got new curtains up. We had the other little like blackout ones just kind of screwed into the wall. I actually put up blinds and everything. Soldier girl, how are you? Oh, I'm so sorry, honey. Go ahead and take care of him. Oh my gosh, hold on. Come on, thing. I don't know why this thing is being so complicated. I want the stuff on this side. So I will explain some things, though. I'm not going to go into any detail medical stuff wise, but I will go ahead and tell you guys some of the stuff. No, they don't. I should have grabbed like a napkin or something. Oh, wait, where's the towel? I can use the towel. Yeah, no. When I first got out of the service, I had to have several operations. One of them was to reconstruct my whole left shoulder, my knee, and my heart. Not reconstruct my heart, but like I had to have what they call a bridge placed. So, something a lot of people don't see is I have a scar that runs all the way under here, across and under my left breast. That scar is from them cutting me open, going in with two little things. So you had like a camera thing and then their tool. And they went in and just placed this mesh type stuff in the one of the what is it? You have like a chamber area. Like there's like a flap in like the valve that opens and closes. And mine was swinging like a swinging door from being concussed. And because of that, it left me with chronically low blood pressure. And so that's a lot of fun. This chicken is the worst. It's so dry. Usually their rotisserie really good, so I don't know what's going on, but this one's a fail. The flavor is great, but it's dry as a bone. That sounded horrible. I know it did. It sounded horrible in my own ear, so I know it sounded bad for you guys. Yeah, I can't eat any more of that. That's really gross. It's not even gross. It's really good tasting. It's just horrible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I had my whole left shoulder redone. So it's really weird because like I have pretty good mobility now in it after doing a lot of physical therapy, but I also didn't I'm one of those people, maybe I'm just weird, I don't know. But I'm one of those people that's like when they say okay, you're going to go through physical therapy so you can do this, but this is going to be the possible like outcome. You're probably not going to have all this. Yeah, I hear you. I can't take pain meds. Um, I don't tolerate pain meds well. I get really, really sick from them. And so I don't tolerate them really well. So I am having a little bit of wine. We end up getting these little bitty bottles and they're super good. It's a white Zin and it's really good. But yeah, so I can't take pain meds. So when I went through like my recovery and stuff like that from having surgery, it was really, really horrible because, of course, I couldn't take anything to like ease the discomfort and the pain. Because anytime we tried, I would just start violently throwing up because I just don't tolerate pain meds. Shoot, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to wash this for him. I wanted to move this stuff out of the way because I want to get off there. Okay, I want to be able to set my drink right there because I don't like it being up on top of there. There. Now I can set you guys right smack in the center so it stops wobbling. But yeah, I just couldn't tolerate things very well. And so I had to just like deal with it. Yeah, pain meds last resort, and they're not even a last resort for me. They're just an absolutely no go. But yeah, I would say for someone who has other issues, yeah, definitely pain meds being an absolute last resort. So yeah, that I completely understand. But so I have those problems, but then I also have issues with, because there was things that happened while I was in the military. There are huge issues I have in being in environments with people. Oh my God, that person on the TV looked absolutely not right. I'll put it that way. It was their mug shot, and oh boy, they look like they'd kind of gone off the deep end. Um, looked like somebody took and shaved portions of their head, but didn't actually, like, what in the world is happening? Okay. Um, but anywho, um, as I was saying, so being like, I can sit and talk like this, right? Because there's nobody in the room with me. I can talk openly and converse and whatnot and talk with you guys through chat. But if I am like, when I go to the grocery store, I don't usually go alone because I have issues with panicking. Um, so I start to get very overwhelmed. I start to become very panicky in crowded situations. When I was working at the shop, when we would get like rushes of people, I start to shut down. I get really quiet. I get very, very anxious. Like my anxiety goes through the roof. I become shaky. Um, my heart starts to pound and I can hear it all in my ears. Uh, I can't talk correctly, and like my words don't flow properly. I can't make like cohesive and coherent sentences because I get so overwhelmed with panic with people, more than like two or three people. Plus PTSD service dog, and we have one in training for him now. He won't go in places with public without me. If he does, yeah, exactly. Like for me, I don't really like doing that kind of stuff. Like even having somebody on the phone with me. So if I'm going to go somewhere, it has to be an environment that I'm super familiar with. And if I'm familiar with it and I kind of like know like a couple of the workers where I've gotten to know them or something, I'm okay for a little bit. Like right up the street, we have the dollar store that's right here, and two of the workers I've really gotten to know like over the year that we've been here. And I'm going to guess that person is going through some kind of medical treatments because their mugshot, they're missing 95% of their hair. It's the same girl. Yeah, she's definitely going through some kind of treatment, or she shaved part of her head. I don't know what's happening. I have the volume turned off, so. Okay. But anywho, so yeah, I don't deal well in public environments. And so I don't do well with people either. Like I have a genuine, deep down rooted fear of other people, and coming into contact with other people and having to try to talk to other people. They just terrify me. Like it terrifies me. And like you wouldn't know that, or you wouldn't suspect that by sitting here like with us here having conversation. But then again, I'm not around anybody. Wow. Well, congratulations to him, first of all, for pursuing going into the military and having autism. I mean, I think a lot of people misjudge people with autism. I think that they think that they're not capable of things when they genuinely are completely capable, um, especially if they've had great upbringings with all the tools being instilled and given to them. I know quite a few people that are on the spectrum. One that is on on the pretty severe side of things, but is capable of, smaller bits of self care, I guess you could say, with great guided assistance, but can manage it. And then I know another one that is very high functioning and absolutely amazing and a complete genius, and has learned to be within the normal community in the normal world, works a job now, graduated high school, is in college. It's like, wow. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. My old man is laying down over here. Him is getting super old. He had 2 falls today, but he's doing okay. Oh no, him's waking up. He's super tired, so he is like, he doesn't want to be moved around when he's sleepy. Oh, that's sad. That's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, I have been through it. So like the good part is I can now at 100%, I can finally go get all the medical stuff done that I needed done. I've had to put certain things off and pay for certain things out of pocket, because they weren't considered or weren't linked to my service connection. And even though they were part of and were a direct result of and taken care of, and I wasn't able to get those things without having to pay out of pocket. And it was just, that's why I think I fought so hard, was because I have 2 beautiful kids and now I have a little beautiful grandbaby, and I want to be able to be as functioning as possible for that, and to be there for them and to be there for him. And that's been kind of like the biggest struggle, was doing that and knowing like why I was doing it and why I continued to fight. And I've seen other people that have really fought and then just given up when, third, fourth try, being given the same stupid results. For me, the first couple of tries, I yeeted nothing, no results. And then I think it was when I had like my fourth or fifth claim filed and processed that I finally ended up with 30%. And it was just this struggle. And when I read the paperwork back, I was like, why are they literally going with the bare minimum of like my stuff, like that's in my record? Like they weren't even going with like the major incident that happened at the beginning of 2007, which is what led to me getting out in mid 2007. Like July 2007 was when I was discharged, and put on like my last part of my, what do they call the inactive service? Because I was still going through physical therapy. So they kept me on inactive, and my official end date was 2009, September 2009. And so I got out of active service, like actual active duty, in 2007. And so, you still have reporting in and whatnot. He was working the night and put her his face and hand went on. He had to go back in. I had to care for him for 3 days. Wow. That's a lot. That's so much to deal with. That's a lot to deal with. But yeah, so I don't know. We went through and we were looking at everything, and I just kept going like they're not looking at the whole record. Like what is happening? Yeah, definitely, Joseph, definitely. But yeah, it was like we kept going through my record, and I'm just like, here it like I have my entire record, by the way, my entire folder, which by the way, at this point, I don't need to keep anymore. I can finally like get rid of that massive folder. I can finally shred all that stuff because now it's officially in, like that whole record is officially in my VA listing. Like the whole thing is in there. I'm like, finally. Now when I pull it up on the VA site, I can go through everything. And I'm like, this is everything I have. Like, I have this entire folder of everything. And that's why we kept submitting these papers over and over and over. And it was just this, it's one of those things where when you keep seeing it and you just keep going through it and you keep reading it and you keep going, how are they not adding this? How are they not seeing this? But I had somebody ask me, how did you keep pushing to go? And I said, because I know what was owed and I know what was right. Like, I know what they should have said. I never expected 100%, but we thought like 60 or 80% roughly. But I can say I'm absolutely grateful. The gratitude I have for it, and the I'm beyond. And the fact that like I'm officially retired, like I don't have to wake up bright and early in the morning to get ready and drive an hour to work 10 hours in a shop all day, drive an hour home and have no time to make dinner or to bake or to just even like unwind for the night before needing to get to bed and get up again and do it again. I enjoyed my job. It was so bittersweet leaving it. I paid for it because I was doing it. He was out of active service in 20. Other service dogs I trained actually. Nice. See. But yeah, that's something too that I've been looking into. Right now, taking care of the old man. But I don't plan on bringing another pet in for a while, even after Tonks is gone. I think I'm going to take a step back from all of that responsibility. It's a lot for me when I have to schedule all of that kind of stuff. And then, of course, like when you lose them or when, they age out and they need to be let go. And it's like the hardest thing. He took 2 really nasty falls today. And so I'm just like, he fell down the steps going out today. And then one of them, he went to come in and completely didn't even get the first step and just landed back on the ground and just kind of waited there for a minute, gathered himself, and then walked up the steps this time, which I think if he'd stopped trying to leap from the ground into the RV, he'd be fine. He knows how to take the steps. Like he takes them to come out, he takes them to come in 9 times out of 10. So there's times though where he tries to jump and his hips just are not made for that anymore. His back hips just do not support him doing that. So usually when he tries to jump, he thinks he's going to go, he thinks he's going to have that full oomph. And half the time it's just this little, and it lands him being hurt. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I just know that for me, it was a long battle. And it was one of those things where it still doesn't quite feel real. Like, I don't think it'll feel absolutely real until like Thursday, which is like when I would normally go back to work. Like, this is my normal days off right now. So I'm not at that point yet where it's like going to set in. But tomorrow, when we do get up, we're going to go and we're going to pick up, because I got a U-Haul. So I'm going to go pick up the U-Haul, go down to the other storage unit, pick everything up and bring it down here because we have a unit right here now, like walking distance from where we're living. So I am ready to move all of our stuff from the tiny, tiny unit into this bigger one. So we can finally just sort through everything because there's a ton of stuff in there that we need to get rid of. And we have some plans, I think, coming up. But I want to get everything in here settled. So the next thing is get that stuff moved. And then I want to get the tiny television that I have in here mounted up inside of this room. I want to get it mounted up. I haven't quite decided exactly how I'm going to mount it yet, but it is going to get mounted in here. Huh? What, baby? He was doing that earlier. When he's tired, he just wants to be laid down by himself. His bed is clear, but I'm in the middle of live streaming. Oh shoot! I just sat that right on top of my soda. You can just lay him right there in his little thing next to you. Yeah, he's not gonna lay down in here. Is it too hot for him? You can turn the heater off. He might be too hot. Huh? Yeah, he might just be too warm. Because it's warm back here now with this thing. Turn on the air conditioner. Like, turn it just one notch. Yeah, it is cooler down there, but you can also take and like turn that knob, the second knob, the one that's not the on off knob, but the other one, you can turn that thing down so that it's not so hot. Because it wasn't coming on earlier, so I know it's blasting right now. So put it not not in the middle, but more towards the bathroom, I guess you could say. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. But yeah, so it's just weird. Like, I got all my letters and paperwork and stuff, and they show like all my education benefits got awarded to Sarah. So now that she can, because she's finishing high school right now, and then once she's finished with it, she can go to college, and this pays for everything. Everything. She's got all the education benefits down to like everything is covered, 100%. And so that's like the best. His bottle's in the fridge. I think. Yeah, I put it in the fridge. So it's just crazy. Like, so like when I say like retired, now what? Which is the title of this video. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, so now what do I do? Like, what am I going to do at this point? And I have decided right now, starters, is finishing like this living space that we have. We won't be staying in this much longer. Uh, we want to have it parked on a property, and we want to get the property all situated. We should know something tomorrow or the next day about the property that we're looking at. Once we have that all situated, then we can go ahead and finish what we're doing in here and start traveling. We wanted to make sure that we had a set base to come back to, so that we can go wherever we want, but always have somewhere to like go to. Oh my god. You guys are too funny. That's so funny. You guys are hilarious. Yeah, I mean, there was things like I seriously really missed about my service days. What happened? Oh, you just got to take the lid off and stick it in the microwave for like 20 seconds. Do you know which one to push to warm it up? The top row all the way towards Sarah. Push that one like 2 or 3 times. It should put it. If you do it 3 times, it'll be 30 seconds. And then the start button's all the way at the bottom row, all the way to the door of the microwave. It'll say start. Huh? I was pushing it like at the bottom of the microwave. Oh. So yeah, the next thing is going to be when I'm going to go in and order my other lens because there's a lens that I want for my camera. So I'm going to get that lens because I have 2 lenses already that I really enjoy using, but I really have like this other one that I'm definitely going to add to it. This stuff on TV right now, I don't understand what the heck is happening. That guy's hands are disgusting. Oh, gross. Ooh. Ugh. Don't touch me with those. They're horrible. So I'm going to get the new lens for the camera because I want a really nice long range lens because there is some shots that I want to go and take. And then I'm going to get out and do some like area photography and start building my portfolio page. And then I'm going to work on my portfolio, and then I'm going to be using my editing software and setting up a page so that I can start advertising the things that I'm able to do. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do. And then, like I said, I don't have to be in a rush for anything. I am more than set and okay financially. I don't have to really worry about anything. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of just like, it's so weird to say like I don't have to bust my butt and like exhaust myself for anything. Thought his coworker and first guy thought they were in Iraq. I saw them fighting. Wow. Jeez, that's horrible. That's so horrible. I like that you guys still call the Air Force people Chair Force people, which is really funny because I used to get picked up. Like people used to say, "Oh, you're in the Chair Force," and I was like, "Yeah," except for I work on a flight, like on an actual flight line, loading F-16s. So there was no sitting in that job. You're working with bombs and equipment and stuff. Hi, Caitlin. We were working with bombs and missiles and bombing equipment and stuff like that that gets attached to an F-16, working on the F-16 itself, working on its the M61A1 guns, like, and the barrels. That's how I broke my tailbone, was cleaning a 6-foot long gun barrel off of the F-16. Yeah, busted my tailbone pretty bad. I think I also may also be another reason why like I have issues with my lower back is I hit the cement ground so hard. I actually, like, when I hit like on my butt, I remember feeling the shockwave come like up my spine, and I blacked out for like just a few seconds. I blacked out, and then I had a pounding headache after that, like a major pounding headache. So yeah, definitely caused some damage there. I remember they took me up to the hospital when I was out at Luke Air Force Base when that happened, and I got taken to the hospital, and they had said, yeah, you broke your coccyx. So my tailbone was crushed. Like I hit it so hard, and they said that I had hit it so hard that I had actually compressed those lower vertebrae. It's in the corner of them as the manager just sat there. She let the fight happen. Oh, okay. Fort Benning in Georgia. Yeah. So yeah, my son was in the Army. So Taylor went into the Army, but I don't remember what area he was at. I know he was in Georgia, but I don't remember what base he was on for training. But yeah, it's a lot. Like I look back at things and I'm just like, one, I constantly have migraines, but I've had headaches and issues with migraines since I was like 14, and that's due to one other issue. But I think like my incident when I was in the Air Force and when I fell and whatnot, I kind of compounded that issue and made it to where that's why I now constantly live with a headache. Like it's a constant thing, by the way. It's like it's a constant, like in this part of my head and back here, it's constant. Oh, that's awesome. Absolutely. And so, yeah, it's just I should never have had to fight as hard as I did to get them to read the entire file. And it was just crazy to think like I got an attorney 14 months or 15 months ago now, but January was 14 months prior from January. So 15 months ago, I hired a legal team and they got me out to other doctors. Yeah. So Taylor made it through basic and then never finished tech school. So he kind of got stuck in tech school. So he never went past that point. He just got stuck in training and never like completed training. So for 2 years, well, a year and a half and some, because it was 2 whole years that um, he was in training. He did basic and whatnot, and then he went off to his technical training for what was supposed to be his job, and he just kept getting washed back. So yeah, he should definitely still be proud of it because it takes a lot for one to go in the first place and sign yourself over to the government. It takes a lot to do that. And then to go in there, get through basic training, which by the way is not easy to do. Um, and then to go through the technical stuff. So going in there and doing that schoolwork. Taylor's never been great at school. So for him to know that he was going to have to do a bunch of schooling and training in that sense, it makes me super proud of him. He would never do it again. See, I would totally do it again. I absolutely loved my service career. I had planned on 20 years plus. I wanted to do way more than that, training kind of thing. See, I would have loved to have been someone to go in after like going through 20 years and then going out and doing training. I would have loved that. I would have loved it. I would have loved being in tech school even longer. We're doing good, Caitlin. How are you? How are you doing? Like, seriously, I know that you've had some stuff going on recently, so I want to know how you're feeling and how you're doing. I don't need that. I almost threw that on there again. Jesus, Marie, stop. Um, yeah, he'd rather train them, not have to get blown up, right? Exactly. It's not as good when it starts to get warm. You should probably drink it while it's nice and cold. Yeah. I'm just glad that he is still around. It's never an easy thing to go through all of that. So yeah. What is happening on this show? This is supposed to be a true crime channel, and yet I don't want to know. They had somebody in a clown face screaming into the camera, and then the camera shifted and got all blurry. Oh my God. Oh, oh my God. The other day, it's not as bad as that, but that's horrible. The other day, I hit my toe, not my big toe, but the one right next to it. I always call it my index toe. It's not an index toe, but you know what I mean. The one right next to my big toe. 3 times on the exact same chair. And each time it was when I was handing Sarah the baby. And this was 2 days ago. And let me tell you what, by the third time that I hit it, I almost decided to just sit down in Sarah's lap at that moment because, yo. And I had a soft set of shoes on because it was my last day. I was wrapping things up. I wasn't going to need to work in the shop anymore. I was trying to just get stuff done. And I wore the wrong kind of shoes for that day and paid the consequences for it. I should have just worn my regular shoes when I went in that day. Never again will I do stuff like that. Wear the proper footwear. Yeah, and it's your pinky toe. So it's like, that's the worst. It's work every day. I'm done with their crap. Like, yeah, don't understand. It's like, I know. See, and that's the thing I don't think people understand is like, I know I'm young, right? I remember when I was like my last couple of days at the shop and people were like, I tell them, I won't be coming back. They cut my hours. Don't give me. Oh my gosh, that so sucks. That sucks. It stutters. Yeah, exactly. See, I don't have balance issues per se, but I do have issues when it comes to walking. Can't really run as like I love to run. It was my favorite things to do. I've always talked about this too, like running, getting up and running in the mornings. Even after I first got out of the military, I could still go out and run. I pay for it later, but over time, it has gotten to the point where I have like my step is different now and my gait is different. So it's caused issues and it's just kind of compounded the more and more and the more years go by. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So now I can't even run. Well, I know, honey. You might have to stand up with him and just kind of walk around with him. I had to do that earlier with him before he finally went to sleep. I know. He probably just wants you to stand up and rock him. You might have to stand up and rock him, like walk around with him for a minute. I had to do that earlier. I used to have to do that with you when you were little too. Might need to give him some Motrin. He might be hurting somewhere. Yeah, he might need some Motrin. Turn on a light so that way he sees that. He's got those teeth coming in and they're just cutting through everything. But they could get in trouble right now for stuff they're doing. Yeah, you're right. They can, especially if they're cutting your hours and stuff because they know of your medical stuff. Yeah, they could definitely pay the consequences for that. Um, in Arizona, it's really different. So I know like we were having issues when it came to like Sarah working because of her seizures. And so in the state of Arizona, it's a right to work state. So they don't have to give you a reason why they cut hours and they definitely are not required to hire you or even they can hire you and then never put you on the schedule. Um, so yeah. And they can cut your hours down to literally one day out of the week and give you like a 3 hour shift and be like, yeah, that's where we're plugging you in at. And there's no consequences for it. So for like 30 minutes and through my phone. It's worse and since. Yeah. And that's the thing. If they already knew that you had health issues and they still hired you, yeah. They need to get it together. Sweet boy. That poor baby. He is just miserable right now. He'll get better at it. Oh yeah, the other day, you guys. I don't know if anybody else has had this happen, but like when you're like talking to someone or whatever, and you like turn your head for a second, like you just barely turn it, and you get like one of those really sharp pains, like either like wherever on your neck, and like shoots up through your skull, and it's like just a split second, right? It goes and it hurts like a son of a gun, but then it's over, right? It's over, and you're like, "Oh God, that really hurt." That happened to me 3 days in a row, but the third time that it did it, I was standing right here in the doorway, like right here in the doorway of the back bedroom thing. Yeah, it's right there in the diaper bag. It's in the side pocket of the diaper bag on the inside pocket. If Neil wants to bring me the diaper bag, I can get a dose put together for him. He just dropped the bag. Just grab that from the top. That's not going to open unless you push it from the top, honey. So you have to set the bag down. There you go. All right. What the heck? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I was like, I know what's in here. Yeah, and I got him the bigger bottles than, so he's not using these itty bitty tiny little bottles over and over again. Here, Bubby. I know you say, bleh, Grandma, that's gross. There you go. And just little at a time. Here you go, little bits, okay? Little bits. You just go ahead and let him suck it out of there. Come here, Buggy. He's like, yeah, that's really gross, guys. It's going to help with the owies, buddy. Here, just take it with you and then just slowly let him have it over a few minutes. I know his little teethies are probably bothering him. He's got so many molars breaking through all at the same time. Nice. Yeah. Our ex-roommate. Yeah, see, and I used to go running all the time, and I can't anymore. Like, I just can't. I physically injured myself trying to make a run for it from the trash can to the fence because the gate started to close. And so I was like, oh, get through there. Man. The baby is super upset, but I'm letting them take care of him right now. They keep showing the same scene over and over again and then putting the arrows on the two people, but they keep showing the same scene over and over again. It doesn't go to the point of whatever they're trying to say on this show. But yeah, so now I can't even go out like on a daily like morning jog. I think I'm going to start trying to do it again, like at least get out and go walk in the mornings. But I know I can't run anymore. Like it's very clear. My legs are just, I mean, like my knee one can't handle it as much as I would love to, but my hips. And so here's the killer about it, you guys. When I went to see the newer doctor with my attorney team, the doctor that they sent me to, I remember talking with her, and she did like a full range of motion type stuff with me, with my legs and my hips and whatnot. And she said, your hip issue. God, you scared the shit out of me. Sorry. I was not expecting. Oh, here's jeez. Because I have the headphones on. This is like completely canceled out on this side. You're good. But like she said, my hip issue is a direct result of my knees. Well, my knee, because my other knee is fine. My right knee is totally fine. My left knee is not. My left knee has had 2 surgeries already. And because of those 2 surgeries, I've had bones shaved away, right? Because of the first initial injury and then the second time because I fell during my recovery of the first surgery. Yay. So I took a spill and re-injured the knee because after the first surgery where they reconnected my patellar, I think it's how you say it, patellar tendon, a patella tendon. It's the tendon that goes from like the kneecap down. So let's just say like this is your knee, right? And you have a tendon that runs like this down to where you like your leg area for your foot, and then you have this one that runs up. Well, this one here, when I had my first injury, this completely snapped off of this area here, right? So this kind of just snapped up, and I had this big wadded knot. It was really gross, by the way. Oh my God. That's horrible. Yeah. Yeah. And so the tendon snapped, okay? Like it just completely came loose. And my kneecap itself ended up completely like on the inside of my knee. So it was like on the inside area. And so it wasn't like in the front where it was supposed to be. Uh, and I had when that happened, and then to top it all off, yay, the cartilage plate, like the cushion that's between like your two, because your bones are like this, and then your kneecap is like right on top of that. So you've got stuff in between, and then your bones are like this, and they do this, and then your kneecap's on top of that. Well, in when I had the accident, my kneecap went inward, my tendon snapped off of this part, and that cushion that was there had been compacted. So it was like this little skinny disc left. It wasn't the nice cushion that it's supposed to be, that big chunk of cartilage that's supposed to be there. So in the first initial surgery, they put the kneecap back in place. They were going to do nothing with the cartilage. I mean, they're like, that's just going to have to be what it is for now. So they put the kneecap back in place, and then they reattached my tendon. And then I was left in this long cast from literally my upper thigh to my ankle, that kept my leg completely straight. That was fun. Let me tell you what. I did 8 weeks in a cast from thigh to ankle, and had to like, it was literally couldn't go anywhere for the most part. And then when I was going to go anywhere, it had to be like on crutches. Then I graduated from the big cast from thigh to ankle, and they put me in this funky brace that went about midway down to my shin, like the middle part of my shin and calf area, so like halfway down the bottom of my leg, and then up to mid thigh. And it had these big hinges, like massive hinge things right at the knee. And then I had these big strap things that were like, wah, and they wrapped right around the bottom of my kneecap, and or the knee, and then right above the knee, and they squeezed really hard, right? So they were like holding both ends, like, and so that kept anything from like wiggling. And I had to go through physical therapy with this goofy thing on my leg. Couldn't take that this was to be on at all times other than when I was bathing. Even at bedtime, I had to stay in that stupid thing. And so I was a hot mess, because not only did I have that going on, they also had reconstructed this. So I had this big thing on, right? And I had my arm up like this. And then it had this rod that came down across here. So I was walking around like this and in the thing here. And then they wanted me to use a crutch. Yeah, that's not going to happen. So I'm in this stupid thing. I have crutches. Like, who's going to do that? So pretty much for the most part, I used a wheelchair to get around, because I look like there's no way. Like, how was I supposed to do anything? Because it was my whole left side. And his right knee. Gosh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. Jeez. Glad he has me now. I'm glad he has you now. And so I was midway through like my recovery, right? So I think I was, oh gosh, almost 8 months recovery, like into going through physical therapy and stuff like that. I have to move my leg again. Because my hips are way out of whack. They're so sore. Uh-oh, I just lost the little lid. There it is. And so I was 8 months in. Um, right, right. And so 8 months into recovery and going through physical therapy, and I fell. So I was doing one of my physical therapy things. I was at home and I ended up falling and I landed straight down, like right. I went through the glass coffee table, and our glass coffee table had those iron rod legs that came out like at an angle. They kind of just wrapped down like this. And I came through, I fell, and went into the coffee table, and my knee struck dead on onto the rod, just smack. And needed to go in to have surgery number 2 because I fell strictly because I was finally out of the brace. And this is the only reason why we knew this. When I had the brace off, my kneecap was very loose. Very. Like I would walk and I could feel my leg like shifting like side to side like this. My kneecap would slide. So I would have it slide all the time to the inside. It was constantly sliding over. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it would pop really loud. So I would take a step and it would pop. And so finally they sent me in to have another MRI and stuff on it. And that's when they found out that when I fell, I cracked the bottom like bone, the one that comes up from your, I don't know what bone that is, the one that's that's right at the bottom of the kneecap. So you have your upper thigh, this part, then your kneecap, and then your bottom one. Well, this one here, it looked like somebody took it, looked like an eggshell, and somebody just said, and so all of it was fractured, right? The whole top of it was just a shit ton of cracks and like fractures all over the top. So he was like, well, that looks fantastic. And more than likely it was for more than just that fall that I took. It was probably over time that I cracked it and kept cracking it during my PT. And so they took me in and did a second operation. And this time they went in and they detached everything and they shaved that whole bone down. So they shaved it down where there was no more cracks, shaved it down to nice, beautiful, fresh, gorgeous bone. And then they put this little cushion pack in there, right? So there's like a fake cartilage thing in there now to put between, because the cartilage at that point was gone. There was no more of it. So in all of my PT and stuff, and through all of my physical therapy, it just completely wore that out. And because of that disappearing, it left the patellar tendon too loose from where they initially attached it. So it wasn't tight enough anymore. So it was just loosely hanging out in there. And I reattached everything and shortened everything down and made it nice and tight. And then put me through another round of PT. Well, in doing all of that, my leg is shorter. That side, my left leg is now officially shorter than the norm, right? So your body naturally has a side that's a little bit off from the other, right? I mean, there are people that are perfection, that are exact on both sides. I am not one of them. I am normal in that sense. I have differences. So in doing that surgery, though, it like lessened the length of my left leg even further than what it was previously. And so in doing that, now my hips, instead of my hips being like set, they're like this. So when I'm walking, I should say this because this leg is shorter. So when I stand, so if I stand straight on, because my one leg is shorter, it shoves my hip up, right? So, or it shows the longer leg goes up, and this one sets down further. So when I walk, my gait is different. So over time and over a few days or sometimes weeks, it just is constantly like I'm like this. And so when I'm walking, things are not working right. And then, of course, everything gets inflamed, it gets irritated, it swells. And then there's days where, like in the cold, when it's really cold, it becomes excruciating. It becomes super, super painful. I'm really, really good at like swallowing my pain, I guess you could say, because I've had my two kids and I've had to take care of them and get through things no matter what. And so sometimes you just don't have the luxury of being like, oh, woe is me. I can't do this. It was, I have kids to take care of. Get your booty up and take care of them. Um, I came down in the house and she couldn't go elsewhere because. Wow. Yo, that's sad. And I'm sorry that you guys went through that. I'm really sorry you guys went through that. So let's just say 2 years ago when I got the car, the Honda, after I wrecked my Caliber, um, at no fault of anybody's. It wasn't the guy's fault that I T-boned. It wasn't my fault. It was just one of those moments where we did all the things we were supposed to do. The car had just done all of its checks. I had even taken it in because of the brake issue that I was noticing, and was given an all clear. They'd done all their diagnostics, that everything was good, and then the brakes completely failed. And I T-boned somebody going 55 miles an hour, and I T-boned a big old truck in my Caliber. Yeah. Taylor and I walked away from that pretty much unscathed, other than I ended up with a broken toe. That was it. But because of that, I ended up with the Honda, the stick shift. And when you have one leg that's shorter, and then you have to sit funny in the vehicle just to drive it, let's just say for the last 2 years, I've been in agony every time I've had to drive the vehicle because I am short and the vehicle seat only goes so far forward in the vehicle. And I was as far forward as the seat allowed. And I still had to sit funny to get the clutch to the floor. And if you know anything about driving a stick shift, your clutch is on your left and your gas pedal is on your right. And so having to clutch for every gear shift with my left leg, which is my leg that I've had 2 surgeries on, needless to say, it just got to being where it was worse and worse and worse and worse. And it was getting to the point where some nights I would be in tears driving home because I would be in so much pain. So yeah. So the issues I'm having now, and my back issues and my hip issues and my leg issues, are all a direct result of my military accident. The incident that happened that caused all my injuries while I was actively serving in the military, that incident is the direct reason why I have the issues I have now with my back, with my hips, with my knee, and now also including, and I never even thought of it until she mentioned it, my feet. The fact that my outer side of my feet on the outsides hurt so much at the end of every day is because I had trying to compensate for the way I walk. And because of that reason right there is why I have such sore feet all the time at the end of every day. And it could be just from simply doing the smallest thing. I could do the smallest amount of walking and still have excruciatingly sore feet at the end of the day. And these are things that people don't ever see. Like, they don't see that. So people are like, wait a minute, what do you mean you have a disability or you're disabled? And it's like, sometimes you can't notice them. Sometimes you don't see them. Now, there are days, I'll tell you what. One, I walk with a limp always, right? I have a funky gait. I don't walk normal, the normal, like just walk. If you've ever met me or seen me, you'll see it. And there are some days where it's worse than others. And Sarah will even notice it. Mom, you doing okay today? Because I will have a pretty bad limp. But for the most part, I walk funny. Like, let's be real. And that's just because one leg is slightly shorter than the other. So it causes me to walk a little funny. And like I said, some days it gets really, really bad, especially when it's really cold. It makes it where things are super, super stiff. And so walking is definitely difficult. Getting up every morning is I don't even want to cry because I will not cry. I promise you that. There are mornings when I get up and just the thought of putting my feet on the ground from the bed, like putting my feet on the ground and standing up, makes me like absolutely not want to move. There's days where I will sit up and put my feet to the ground and just sit there for a minute and have to gather myself to stand up because I know the minute I put weight onto my feet and onto my legs, I'm going to have searing pain. So, usually once I'm moving, it becomes bearable. I guess, like for me, for the most part, it's just about being bearable. And so, yeah. And that's the thing is people don't see that part, right? They don't see the mask that those of us that deal with chronic pain put on. And so they'll see you and they're just like, but you look fine. Yeah, but I don't feel good. I don't feel fine. I feel the pain and I'm hurting all the time. And it's so annoying to constantly always be in pain. And people don't understand that. They don't see it, they don't understand it. And that's okay. Like, it's okay. But what's not okay is making judgment on it. You know what I mean? So now that I have everything, I have to take those letters and whatnot and take it over to DMV. So now I can get my things put together and then I can get my customized plate. Because I do want to put a new customized plate on my brand new car. Since I have a brand new car and I love my new car. But I found out the other day that I don't have to buy a car dolly for the RV. I can just rent one when we want to go places. I can rent one, go pick it up with the RV, and attach the van and go where we want, and then turn it back into them once we're all set up. So the only thing I have to do, though, which I haven't done yet, is I do have to get a, what do they call it? The little plug thing, the harness thing put in, so that when we are towing it, we can attach the harness so that the lights will work on the van. So when people are following us, the lights on the van will work for when I press the brakes in the RV. I will help him, and he needs me. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's it's difficult, like when you try to explain to people like how you're feeling, and they just don't see it because they're like, "But you were just doing whatever," and it's like, yeah, that's because deep down inside of myself, I have pushed for so long and had to do it for so long that you don't think about it anymore. You just do what you need to do and suffer the consequences of it later. You know, that's what we do. This little wine was really good, by the way, but it's not good when it gets warm. But yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's to everybody. Actually, at this point, it's about to be Valentine's Day in just a few moments. So, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And we're going to be getting all of our storage stuff moved tomorrow, or technically today. And then once we're all finished, which that's only going to take a couple minutes. It's a little 5 foot little 5 foot unit. Grab all the stuff, stick it in the U-Haul, bring it down here, stick it in the new storage unit, turn the U-Haul in, and then call it a day. And just literally relax. And then I'm going to probably do quite a bit of cooking tomorrow. I want to cook a bunch of stuff up. And then I need to take, I want to get another fill up on the propane. Oh, by the way, my hair is like super wet. It hasn't dried yet. But, yeah, so I need to fill up on propane again at some point. But I'm supposed to have them coming over to fix the tires on the RV because our tires on this side over here decided to they need to just go flat. I don't know why. Aw, that's literally the sweetest thing. Like, seriously, that's literally the sweetest thing. So, getting off the topic of pain and pain management and all that kind of stuff, I watched a bunch of reaction videos. By the way, don't ask, I don't know why. I'm on a kick of watching reaction videos. Why you call Club Med, he says. Oh, man. Honestly, I've never heard that, so I don't know. I haven't been in it in a long time, so I don't know. I know that they always called us Chair Force, but I've never understood. For me, anyway, I never understood that because I never worked a desk job. I never worked, like, I did sit at a desk here and there whenever I had to punch in a bunch of numbers to move stuff. But other than that, like, you sat down, you punched in your numbers, and then you were back out in the thing. So I think that's any job you have to turn in paperwork. So, but yeah, I was pretty much always on my feet, always moving, always working, always had our hands full. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, my knee is super stiff. But anywho, it's because they fly planes. Oh, I don't fly planes. I just worked on them. Ow. Jeez, that's so sore. Anyway, I've been on this kick watching reaction videos of people watching. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I know that had to be loud. I hit the microphone. Watching people watch certain things for the first time. Now, at first I was like, there's no way, not the norm, because, yeah, exactly. When like Harry Potter and all that first came out, when Twilight was coming out, I worked for a high school, so I was around kids that were the age group. Just my friend was the one who bought me the books. I had never intended to read those books. I had heard about the first book. I told you guys that story a long time ago. I had never intended to read it, but when my friend bought me the second book because the first movie was coming out and the third book was on pre-order, I was like, fine, I'll read it, because she was totally into it. And she was like, you got to read this, you got to read it. So I ended up finally reading it. The first attempt I made at it, I kind of was like, nah, this ain't for me. And then I ended up reading it and I was like, oh, okay, I like this story. Air Force officer need a haircut. Y'all got jokes tonight. I don't know when an Air Force officer needs a haircut. And then the Harry Potter franchise. My kids were right at that age when Harry Potter was coming out, like right there on that cusp. And so, of course, because my kids were little, I never, because the what the heck? Oh my God. That's hilarious. So I'm like, I read the Harry Potter books and watched them as they were being released, but my kids were little then. So they were in that age group of the kids that were growing up with Harry Potter. So hearing these people that are my age, right? They're my age group, just now watching Twilight, I'm like, where have y'all been, under a rock? And so someone, I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. She's letting me type. She never gets tired of these jokes. I know, right? Hey, dad jokes are the best. Come on now. And so watching these people, I was like, you got to be kidding. So I got sucked into watching people like reacting for the first time. So right now, I just watched a couple that I've recently started watching. They're super funny. And they're watching the Harry Potter franchise right now. And they're just finished watching the Half-Blood Prince, because that's where they're at, and they're watching, and then they post once a week, so they'll watch Deathly Hallows and part 1 and then part 2, but they just finished wrapping up on the Half-Blood Prince, And there's some stuff that happens. And if you've never seen it, I'm not going to be a spoiler. But if you've never seen it before, I'm not going to give anything away. I can just say that there's things like each time they watch it, because I already know the story, I've already seen it, whatnot. And these two have gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Not with each other, but with like the movies, because it does that to you. The first time I saw it, we were like, what? It's nap time. Hurry. I love it. I love it. Um, and so I keep giggling because I'm like, that's exactly how all of us felt when we read the books. You get to the end of like one of the books and you're just like, oh my god, what the heck? Or you go, oh my god, I hate that character. Oh no. Through the whole book, and then all of a sudden you get to one part and you're like, wait, that character isn't actually bad. Wait, I don't trust this. And then you get to the next one, the next book, and you're like, see, I knew it. And then you get to another part and you're like, wait, but I thought, and so your suspicions are one thing, and then you find out it's another, and then you find out, wait a minute, maybe my suspicion was correct, but maybe not. So you're going back and forth. Well, they're at the Half Blood Prince, and something happens in the Half Blood Prince, and I'm not going to say nothing in the like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything. There's something that happens in it, and they're at that moment right now in the story where they just finished watching the movie, and they're both like, wait a second, this cannot possibly happen. You can't do that. Like, wait. It's devastating, by the way. And so the wife, she's in tears during that whole scene. And then he's like, but wait a second. Like, I gave the benefit of the doubt. I still want to believe this. There's no way that that's the actual outcome. Maybe they'll show us in the next one, whatnot. And I'm like, I know that they're going to sit down and watch that and record it, right? They're going to watch it and record it, but they're not going to release it because there's no way they're not going to be able to, like, at this point. This is like when you get to that point, like those of us that watched it as they came out, we had to wait a whole year for that next answer when it came to the movies. When it came to the book, it's the same way. You had to pretty much wait until she finished the next book. And it was excruciating, by the way, waiting. So watching these people watch these things is so amazing. Oh my, oh my god. Where do you guys come up with these things? Ooh. Yeah, that got warm. Not good once it's warm. Yuck. Oh my god, that's the third time I hit the microphone. I'm so sorry. But so yeah, it's really neat watching these people watch these things. But the thing that I am watching as it's been coming out, and we actually got an early release of on Saturday, was The Last of Us. Because Super Bowl Sunday, of course, so they didn't normally it comes out every Sunday. And because of the Super Bowl, they didn't release it on Super Bowl Sunday. They released it the day before. Um, it's all it's all good. Um, but yeah, this last episode. Now, see, here's the thing: if you've never seen or played the game, this series is going to suck you in so hardcore. If you've seen the game and you've played the game, this series is going to suck you in and hold you tight because they are holding so tight and true to the gameplay, but they're also expanding on it. And so if you've ever played The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, I've never played it. Now I want to play it. I've watched so many run-throughs of this game that now I'm just like, I want to get in there and be Joel. I want to get in there and be Ellie, because that's what happens when you play the game. At some points in the game, you're Joel. Other points in the game, you're Ellie. In part 2, there's points where you're one character and then you're another character. So you get to see both sides of the story when you're playing it. But in the series, the HBO series of The Last of Us, they are expanding on parts that you see in the game, right? You come across certain NPCs in the game, and they're kind of passing NPCs. So you see things, you do things with those NPCs, and then they kind of go their way and you go yours, and you continue on with the game. Well, they're expanding on those NPCs storyline. And so episode 5, there's a point in this where they changed it up a bit, which I'm glad they did, because oh my god, they wreck you in episode 5. They wreck you so hard in episode 5 because they changed up a part. I'm not going to say what, because if you haven't seen it, you need to go see this. If you've got access to HBO Go or HBO Max, it's got to be HBO Max. You have got to see it. Army, Navy, and Coast Guard say to the Marines, the only thing that is it's not in Boston. Yeah. But there's a reason for that. And the guy who wrote the game is the one writing the series. He said there's a reason for that. He needed an expansion that he would have done in game. Now, they talk about Boston, by the way. And he says, when you watch the thing, it says 10 miles out of Boston on one of the episodes. I'm going to say which one. But yes, they have all of that. And whatnot. And they do talk about where they're at in location wise and stuff like that. So that's disgusting. Don't eat crayons. Crayons are disgusting. Do not eat crayons. And they're not good for you anyway. They're wax. But they also changed up, like I said, you have to watch it because they also change up there's a thing that happens in episode 4 and 5. The location is different. Because they, like I said, the creator, the writer of the Last of Us game is also the creator and writer of the Last of Us series. Just, I wasn't sure if Chris is aware of that. It's the same guy. And he says in the interview during, like, I think it's at the end of the first episode, he talks about the fact that he makes certain changes and adaptations that he wishes he had done in game, but didn't do it in game because in game you're more compressed, where this, they're expanding things and they're taking you outside of things, and they're taking you into some of the NPC stuff and whatnot, so you can see a little bit more story and backstory into those characters that you run into and along the game. So episode 5, though, they changed a couple of things with one of the characters. And they added, I guess you'd say, a character for episode 4 and 5. That there's not really that person in the game. You just know of this group, but they kind of gave this group a head person for the series. And I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. And so you get kind of a justification as to why these other two characters, these other two NPCs are, well, there's a reason why you run into them and why they're a part of the storyline. You get some backstory into it, and it makes sense to add that other character into it, which you don't have in the game. But it makes you start to grow attachments, even if you only have like an episode of attachment, like an episode to kind of build that information. They do such a good job of pulling you into that and whatnot. So the stuff that happens in episode happens slightly different, like slightly. It's not much, but slightly different in game. But it's pretty much that same storyline. Like it's pretty much exactly it. Like I said, his humor never left him after all the years. Yes, but he is upset about Boston not being there because he likes Boston. Yeah, and Boston is there. It's just not the central like, whatnot because they are just like in the game. They're not going to stay in Boston anyway. They're heading out like in the game. They're taking Ellie from supposed to be from Boston and moving her along and out, right? So that was kind of the thing. But that the storyline goes. So in the series, they start off in Kentucky and Texas actually, because it starts off in Texas, which is where he's where all that starts off from. And then they go into Kentucky for the series. And they actually pass through Boston because they're 10 miles outside of Boston when they're on their search for Frank and Bill. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like there's a reason why they expanded it because they needed the travel, right? They need that distance. In game, everything's done shorthanded, so you're kind of like, oh, you're here, and then you're here. Whereas this, it's because it's a series. It needs expansion. It needs movement. So they kind of take you on an adventure in the series, and it's for the better though. So I'm starving. Yeah. So you get to go to where Frank and Bill are, which you need that part because that's part of the game. So yeah. But yeah, episode 5, like it, oof. The game, and I've watched the gameplay multiple times by multiple amazing gamers. And so seeing that and seeing the gameplay, cool, amazing, honest. And if you get your heart jerked out because of the gameplay, they do not fail you in the series. And like I said, I don't do spoilers on here, so I won't spoil it because I know that there are people that are just learning about these things or people that don't actually watch gaming or who may not have HBO, who may eventually want to see the series. I don't want to spoil anything. But they have done fantastic. All right, Chris, have a good night. All I can say is the slight little changes that they made for episode 5. I am glad they did because I think if you haven't seen the gameplay or played it, doing the change that they made pulls you in so damn hard. And it's like, and if you have seen the gameplay, you're thankful for the change. That small change makes a heap of difference in the feel of that moment from the game. Because when that moment happens in game, it's sad, but it's not as devastating. But when it happens in the series, because of the change that they made, that moment is crushing. crushing. I'm thinking about doing a reaction channel, you guys. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, I need to watch some movies that I never seen and just film myself reacting to them. Because seriously, I think I would love to do that. I think it would be fun to do. So, we finally got Neil watching The Mandalorian. If you've never seen The Mandalorian, the dude that plays The Mandalorian is Pedro Pascal. He is also the lead actor. Him and Bella Ramsey are the lead actors in The Last of Us. So he is amazing. And if you guys haven't seen The Mandalorian, you really should watch it. It's really good. This is so dry. Oh. It's so dry. I don't understand. Like I've had many of these from Walmart, and they're usually just so full of moisture, but they're great. And this is so dry. Like I don't know what happened, but it's dry as a bone. Like it's so bad. My knee is cramping really bad, you guys. It's actually twitching. Ew. I don't have to go to bed anytime soon. I can chill out if I want to. There's a statement I don't think I've ever gotten a chance to say. Ever. Because I've worked every day since I was 15. Yeah. I have worked a job since I was 15 years old. Even when I first started this channel, people thought, oh, she's on it. Like, no, I wasn't. I worked for the high school. That's stuff we just didn't disclose. But yeah, I've always worked. I don't think there was ever a time that I didn't work. Yeah. I think the time that I didn't work. No, because even then I did some online, what do they call it? Remote information working. When I first left KOC, when I got really, really sick. Yeah. Also, by the way, my lupus diagnosis is tied directly to my service connection. Sarah. Haven't been able to catch a live in a long time. I'm glad to catch one. Also, congrats on everything that happened recently. Oh, thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day. Is it official? It's official. It's official. It's 9 minutes in. Happy Valentine's. This is so dry. Oh, this is so dry. But I'm starving. Literally, this is all I've eaten today. What is wrong with me? I think it's just because I got caught up getting a bunch of stuff done today that I just did not think about eating. I can't. I'm so hungry, but this is so dry. It's like trying to chew on dry dirt. The flavor is so good because it's a lemon pepper flavor, but it's so chalky. But yeah, so I'm thinking about making some reaction videos. What do you guys think of that? I want to know what you guys think of that. I got a few of you in here. Tell me what you guys think of that idea. What would you watch it if I did? If I decided to pick some movies I'd never seen before and sat down and watched them, probably put together like a suggestion list because I've seen so many movies. Um, but I know there's got to be movies out there that I haven't seen that might be more popular. Like, here's the thing, I have not watched. Yeah, awesome. I've thought about watching the Wednesday series. I haven't seen it yet. Sarah watched it. She said she loved it. I have not seen it yet. And so I'm thinking about sitting back and watching that and maybe film myself watching Wednesday, seeing as it's a newer one that's out. Um, what else would be a good one? Um, I have not watched um, the last season that I watched of what is it called? American Horror Story was Coven. I haven't watched any of the ones past Coven, which I think was season 4, right? Because you had no, Coven was season 3, right? Which one is season 3? Season one of them is because I've watched. I think Freak Show is season 4. Because I think that's the one that has Lady Gaga. But I know I watched season 1, which is the original American Horror Story. Then I watched Asylum season 2, which was so good. For some of us to watch certain series together, we could chat about it in here too. Yeah, see, there you go. And the thing is, when you do like reaction videos, you have to do it in like clips and bits and pieces because, of course, copyright protections and copyright claims. So you have to be super, super careful with doing that. So I'd have to be really careful doing the reaction videos with it. And the thing, of course, reaction videos, that's how you work it. So I would watch it and film myself watching the movie. And then when I edit the reaction video, I would edit the reaction video with like bits and bit clips and whatnot. So the movie itself will run at the bottom, but I would clip it to fit like whatnot because you have to. Yeah, because in that way, like we can do like when I premiere them, we can do a live premiere and then I can sit in chat as it's going on, as you guys watch it and chat with everybody as everybody gets to watch the video of me reacting and have like me be in chat with everybody. But yeah, so Wednesday is one I would like to do. Um, I thought about watching the other, oh God, that was a good show, American Horror Stories series, but I don't know because like I kind of got fed up with it after Coven because I really did not like Coven. I thought it was not my favorite, and I kind of was like, oh, okay, the show's kind of losing it. Not my favorite one. I saw a couple of clips and bits of Freak Show, but really didn't get like sucked into Freak Show very well. And so I kind of just like brushed that one off. But I would love to um, watch a couple of series with you guys. I've already watched True Blood, and I thought about doing True Blood again. I've already watched Game of Thrones. So it's not like I can go back through and do first time reactions to Game of Thrones because I've already seen it all. Trying to think if there's anything else out right now that's like new, like on Netflix or whatever, that people can have access to watch, so they know like which one I'm watching. But I don't know yet. I'm gonna have to sit down and put together like I have to put together like a poll and we put it on here on YouTube and let you guys vote like what series we're gonna start. I think Wednesday might be the first series that I start because yeah, I have not watched it yet. I've heard so many rave reviews about it and people have been talking about it. So I think I want to watch it. Um, I know that I was going to watch Brad start his reactions to it, but I really want to see the series before I watch his reactions to it. And if I'm going to watch the series, I might as well set up the camera, film myself watching the series. I can make a whole little cozy nook right here. My movie is back here, and I can sit back and you guys can hear the audio, and I can have the camera sat right there. Actually, as a matter of fact, I actually have the camera sat right here, and I can watch the movie. The other thing is too, like if we get the other thing done in 2 weeks from now, I think it's supposed to be 2 weeks. Could be, yeah, I think it's like 2 weeks. If that's the case, then I'll actually have a room all set up, and we can do it that way. Or I actually can make this my actual office space and be able to come outside to the RV because it'll be hooked up, and I'll be able to be outside and utilize this space as my like office space. I might even make it to where this becomes like my room, so to speak. Like not this back space, like this space back here can become like a full on office. And I can utilize that space over there as my bedroom. And then of course the main building as like our regular living. But yeah, it would be really, really nice to set that up. Because we want this to still be extremely available for travel. And so we need to be able to keep it hooked up and keep things running and working properly and whatnot. So, yeah, that would be enjoyable. The series don't always to be brand new either. They can be ones that, as a group, we all either haven't watched yet or it's been a while since we've watched. Yeah, and for me, of course, when you do reaction videos, you want it to be like first time watching. For me, as the person that's going to be filming it. For the viewers, it's fine if they've already seen it or haven't seen it in a long while. But yeah, that's what makes it super fun. Like, y'all, there's 4 of us in here. I can't be the only chatterbox. Yeah, you know what, Sarah, how do you say Sarah or Sarah? I think you've said before Sarah. People do that all the time. I always see like 4 or 5 people in here, but never any, like hardly ever do people chat. Like hardly ever. They just come in to just sit back and watch. I do that sometimes with other people's channels. I'll sit back and watch a live stream and I just don't talk. Yeah, Sarah. I was gonna say, yeah, you've said that before. I think we've had that conversation before. But yeah, today I did the curtains back here. We got these really nice, like they're supposed to be blackout curtains. They're so not blackout curtains. You can see right through them in the store. Like you could hold it up by the light and see right through them. So I thought that was funny. I showed the lady at the store and she goes, "Oh my God." I said, "Yeah, it says right on the packaging, blackout curtains." Like I'm not even getting at the package. Oh, I can't get it. I have the packaging in this box right here that you guys are sitting on top of. But yeah, one of the things I'd like to do is get a desk thing set up so I can actually set up my workspace. But yeah, right now we have the Tonky Man down here. He got a brand new collar the other day. He's got a brand new little thing on it. He's a good boy. Oh, you old fart. I started recently giving him hip and joint treats that are specifically made to be added to his food for hips and joints, as well as digestive health, because old man has had problems. We talked with the vet. We did a 3-day fast on him and then reintroduced like a plain diet to him, like a bland diet to him. And he's finally back to where he's not having too many issues with his bowels. I know. And that's the thing is I bought the first set. I actually laughed because I posted a post about it. We bought these other heavier duty blackout curtains, and the whole room was lit with light. I laughed so hard. I was like, these are supposed to be blackout curtains. Like there's that stuff on them and everything. They're kind of that really weird texture, and all light comes through. I was like, but these right here, they're great. Like they definitely blocked out the light, but there's nothing on these. Like there's nothing on them on the back side to make them blackout. And so that's why I thought it was really funny. Not only that, but like at the top up here, they're on a curtain rod. So all the light that's going to hit them from that side, it's still going to come up through the top. So there's that. So they're not going to black out anything. They may darken it, maybe tone the light down a bit, but they're not going to black it out. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's that. And then also we set up the baby's playpen thing here. He's got like all his cool little things there, but of course that's like the other half of the room. So like that's the front half of the room. That's the door. But yeah. So we set up the playpen in here for him because the little bassinet thing that we bought is perfect size for him, right? He loves it. He sleeps great in it. However, he has gotten in the really big habit of jumping a lot. Like he loves to jump. And that thing is not made for that. So they say on the instruction thing, once they can stand up inside of it or start to bounce inside of it to no longer use it. So he got almost 2 months of use out of it, which is great. It's great because we got it for him in the beginning of January, which I'm glad we did because it finally got him where he sleeps like on his own, like in the middle of the day and stuff. And so it allowed us like for him to sleep. Oh my God, he gets so great. He doesn't even do it just excited. He just does it all the time. He'll do it when he's out in the living room, holding on to the baby gate. He'll do it when he's on the side of like holding on to furniture. He's so funny. He loves it. If you're holding him, he jumps. We posted that video of him racking up with me making a puke sound. And he still laughs every time you make the puke sound. So yeah, he loves it. My knee is killing me right now. Ow. But he's out there. I bought a what's it called? A cuddle nest for him today because he loves to sleep right next to me or Sarah. However, when he is, I can't move. I have to be like perfectly still while he's like laying against my arm. Yeah, it's one of the shorts. I posted it as a short, and it's the cutest thing ever. He is like cracking up in the video. But when Sarah and I are laying with him, you can't move. And so I bought the cuddle nest, and it's skinny and long, and it folds in on itself, but it's got hard ends. So it's like a bassinet, but it's like skinny and long, so it can set right here on the bed, and it doesn't take up any bed space, like other than like if I had my arm there. It's like that same space, but he's not like in my arm, so I can lay him in that right next to me or her, and we can still have the bed to lay in because we're both in twin size beds. Mine's shorter because I'm in this little cubby right here, which is the length of a queen size bed. It is 58 inches. I'm 61 inches in height. So with my pillow and stuff, it makes up that little difference because I'm a bit more, inclined so that I'm not fully laying flat. This is like 58 inches from here to here, and it's perfect space for me. But it's twin size, so it's a twin bed width-wise. And Sarah's on a twin bed out there with just the dinette set. I've got a good one for you guys, though. And so I wanted something that was going to allow him to still be right next to us, but not have to be like directly in our arm. So that way he is comfortable, and I don't have to worry about like sacrificing my blanket because he hates to be covered up. He hates to get warm. He loves it when it's like we could be freezing, like literally shivering, teeth chattering, and he is completely chill. He's like, yes. We actually have the air conditioner on right now at night for him. But that's how he's comfortable, little booger. But yeah, so that's something I'm going to do. Also, you guys will have to tell me if you would love for me to play on here. I wouldn't stream it. I would just play it and record it. But I have been, he's 14 now and is still the same way. Yeah, freezing, right? Loves it freezing cold. swear Sarah had an Eskimo in the middle of freaking desert. Um, I have been playing a game that Sarah and I saw on Xbox, and it's called Stranded Deep, and it is so much fun to play. But I thought about recording it and then uploading it so you guys can see that, because that's also a really fun one. I watched somebody else try to play it. Sarah made a good suggestion. Mom, don't watch other people play a game that you're playing right now, because you will just get angry. And I did. I was getting so frustrated at the guy that was playing it, because the tutorial part of it, like when you first start the game, there's a tutorial. They walk you through like several steps that you need to do so that you can actually, once you've got those steps down, then you can go ahead and go. But those first initial steps that they're trying to teach you to do are super vital. And the guy refused to go land on one of the islands. And none of the tasks could get done until he did that. And by the time he finally decided to do that, he killed his character. And so I got frustrated with him. I was like, I can't watch this guy, because I'm about to come through the screen, because dude, at the top of the corner of your screen, it's telling you what you need to be doing right now. You need to check off the boxes. Like, just do what it says, because once you check those off, you won't see them ever again. Like, ever again. Those boxes are there for a reason. Just follow the tutorial real quick. Get that part over with. And then if you want to go find a different island to land on and be a part of and go from there, because you're going to have to go to all the islands at some point. But the tutorial one where you first get let in, you need to follow it so that you can actually proceed. So it was driving me nuts. Driving me nuts. But it's so weird, you guys. I don't think it's going to really hit me, though, until Thursday. Because Thursday would be like my go back. Because I was thinking about it earlier today, and I was just like, oh, well, I need to get this and this done, because I only have one more day. And then I realize, no, I don't. I don't have to go back to work. These are not my days off anymore. I am able to just totally chill. Of course, right now, one of the biggest things is I want to be able to like set some stuff up and get some stuff going for like this, like on here. But it's kind of difficult to do when we're with the little one, because he is really high demand. And I don't want to interrupt his schedule of things right now while we're in such a small space. And I know that if I try to sit down and record stuff right now, it'll just have a bunch of background noise of him or me needing to stop and go, stop and go, stop and go, because he needs that right now. And I think once I have like things set up, and if we can get moved, like that's the whole thing, is if this thing goes good in 2 weeks, then we will actually be moved, like physically moved where we need to be. And then we can make this into like a studio space, an office space, and then utilize the house as like the house. And then I can say, hey, look, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do this, and then I'll be back in. What was this guy, like addicted to like Jason movies or something? What is wrong with this man? I have true crime television running like in the background, and I just keep seeing like these stories going on. Everything's on mute, so I can't tell like what they're talking about. But the stuff that's happening, he's got a stupid hockey mask on, and he is a creepy looking dude. All you see is these big bulging eyeballs. Yeah, he comes first, and that's fully understandable. Full range of a house, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, is he is this close to walking. Very close. He, today, when I gave him his bath, a little turd thinks he's cute and kept standing up in the middle of the bathtub, just standing. And I was like, sit down. So I would sit him back down, and he'd stand right back up. And I'm not talking about like grabbing and pulling himself up, just standing up right from the center of the bathroom, just stood up. I'm like, stop. Before you fall down. Good part about the the bathtub that he's in it's one of those big Tupperwares, right? Not Tupperware. It's a Sterilite bin, tote. It's one of those big old totes. And it's deep enough that I can get in it. Like I had them, Sarah and Neil, busting up laughing because I was able to climb in it. You could completely close me in it because I'm small. Yeah, they have like no fear. Like he's just like standing up in there. I was like, Carlisle, sit down. So I sit him down and he stands right back up and I'm like, Carlisle. And then he gets mad because I sat him back down. I was like, he took like an hour bath because he has so much fun when he's in there. And I bought him those like foam letters today. So it's the alphabet and the numbers and they like stick to the walls. You know, like if you had a bathtub, it would stick. Well, it sticks to the tote really well. While they're all wet, everything sticks to they stick really well like they're supposed to, like if he was in a bathtub. So he was having so much fun doing that today and I thought it was super cute. So he really got a kick out of those. So I think that was fun. He loves bath time. And so I just let him have fun. I kept warming the water up some more for him because he was playing in there for so long. I think the next thing I want to do, because it is a tote, and so every time we have to dump it, I have to pick it up and have to tilt it and whatnot. I'm going to go and buy a thing so we can actually put like a small hole in the tote and put one of those little plugs in so that you can just pop the plug and let the water drain. I think that'll make a little more sense to do that. And the tote has that little divot, so you can put the little drain on the top divot so that it'll actually let it drain through. But yeah, I think I'm going to do that so that way we don't have to keep picking it up to dump it over. Every time he takes a bath, I can actually let some water out while he's taking his bath and fill it up with more warm water because he loves it. Like he loves bath time. But yeah, so I want to do those things. I would love to sit down and do like some reaction videos. I think Wednesday is one of the ones I definitely want to watch. But there's got to be some other things that I haven't seen yet. Like I know that I've already seen like the Hunger Games. I've already seen things like Divergent. By the way, Divergent, Insurgent, great. Allegiant. The movie cut it off where it should have. Thank you for cutting it where it should have been cut in the book. The book is not as bad as it seems. It's just one of those things where you just get frustrated with the back and forth. But the end of that book is completely pointless. Completely pointless. I don't care who you are. I've had people that were like, people got mad because it just didn't go the way they wanted it to. No, it has nothing to do with that. There's just, you don't get rid of your main character at the very end of a book if it has no significant impact of that character being taken out. Like, what are you doing? Or is it prequel to the Game of Thrones yet? No, I have not watched what is it called again? A Game of Dragons or something like that, or well, I have not seen that, and I have not watched the something of the Rings. The whatever Rings one. The Lord of the Rings spin-off too. Because I know that there's that one as well. So I thought about both of those series. I have not seen either of them. House of Dragons, that's what it's called. I have not seen House of Dragons yet, and I have not seen I forgot the name of the Lord of the Ring. There's a name for it, but because the House of Dragons goes into the whole history and whatnot of the Targaryens, which I'm kind of interested in. But I've seen like some review things. I haven't watched it. I haven't seen anybody watch it yet. So I've also, one of the other things I really want to watch is Vikings. That's it. So, and just kind of forgot about it. But my older kids said it was good. Yeah, see, and that's the thing is I've seen a lot of people talk about House of Dragons is pretty good, but a lot of people had some like negative feedback on things that they are like some of the stuff that got changed or whatever from some of the original information given in Game of Thrones. But that's all right. Because when you go back and you're kind of going back in history, back in time, and then pulling forward to get up to when Game of Thrones progresses, but you know what, whatever. Um, I'm not worried about that. But there are other series out right now that I keep seeing people talk about, and I'm like, I wonder if these would be great. So I think what we can do is we can actually start several series and do like some of the other people I've seen doing, which is like where you each day that you're going to release something. So what I would probably end up doing is watching like a block of several episodes of something and then edit those and then have those released. Like let's say it's House of Dragons, right? We would release a House of Dragons episode every Monday. And then be like, okay, well, every Wednesday we'll do a Wednesday episode, right? And so watch the Wednesday series and then every Wednesday release a Wednesday episode. And then on Friday do something like Vikings or something, something I haven't seen yet either. So it would be like those 3 days a week, those would come out. And like, this is just me kind of shooting it out there, randomly, like kind of just thinking out loud. But yeah, so that way we have several series going. And then we can do like a weekly wrap up or something on like a live stream on a Saturday or something. And hang out with everybody live and go over discussion of, hey, have you watched this? Have you watched the episodes for the week? And then go into kind of like live discussion about like our reactions and how we all felt and whatnot. But yeah, so I know Vikings is one I really do want to watch. I saw one episode of Vikings way back when it first released. I know it's it's quite a few seasons in. And I really liked it, but then I kind of faltered off and didn't decide to watch any more of it. We kind of had life happened, and I never got to watch the second episode. So I don't even remember what happened in the first episode, so I would need to watch it anyway as like a refresher. But yeah, I forgot what the name of the Lord of the Rings series is, and it's going to bother me. You guys have to tell me if you remember what it is. But yeah, I haven't seen that one yet either. And then, what is that other one? What's her name has been watching? I forgot. I've not watched any of her reactions to it because I want to watch it without hers. Freaking heck, I forgot what it's called. It's based around soldiers and stuff. Like it has a whole soldiers theme to it, but I forgot what it's called. So I have to go in there and look it up again. But yeah, they're supposed to be really, really good. So yeah, maybe I'll look up on Netflix because I have Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, and Disney Plus. I have HBO Max and Disney Plus. So I probably need to look on all of them. Disney, you have to be super duper careful with because they are really picky about if you watch one of their series. I don't think there's anything series wise on Disney Plus that I would want to watch. I don't think so. But there might be something that comes up and people are like, oh my God, other than like, I've already watched The Mandalorian, so it's not like I can watch that again. But that would have been a good one to do a reaction to. However, even a split second of like The Mandalorian on here, we would have gotten flagged and probably had my channel yanked down. So you have to be careful with anything that has to do with like Disney or whatnot. But like I will go on and I will look up and whatnot, and we can probably get on here and like have another live stream maybe tomorrow night, and we can start going over like series, and I'll have like a pad and stuff, and we'll just write it all down to say like let's do this one. We already know Wednesday. We know House of Dragons, the Lord of the Rings prequel thingy that's out. You can look at that one. Wow, It's gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna have to look it up, you guys, because I can't do it without looking it up. Oh, it moved it over. Thanks, guys. Okay. What's it called? Well, they are strict. Yeah, you think Netflix is strict. No. Disney is like, you have to be super careful with Disney. All right, what is it? What is it called? Rings of Power. It's called Rings of Power, you guys. So, Rings of Power is another one that we would need to look at. And that is the series. Second Age of Middle Earth's history. Yes. To an era in which, yes, it's Rings of Power. It's when the rings were first made. So yeah, that was the one. What is the temperature right now? It's 50 degrees right now outside. It's supposed to get cool again, but then go right back up into the 70s again. So we're pretty much approaching springtime now. So, you know, yeah, we're getting there. What? Sierra, come on. You haven't seen any of the Lord of the Rings? Oh my God, you're missing out on so much wonderfulness. Maybe I'll just watch them. No, no, you have to watch them, because if I watch them and you do a reaction video to them or whatever, or a review video to them, you're only going to get bits and pieces. You got to watch Lord of the Rings. First of all, I'll tell you, watch them in proper order. So watch The Hobbit first. The Hobbit movies, you need to watch all 3 of the Hobbit movies first. So you have The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug, and then The Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies. That's all 3 of the Hobbit movies. They cover the whole Hobbit book. Then you need to watch The Lord of the Rings. It's Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and then Return of the King. Such a good, so good. All 6 of those movies, amazing. The fact that the first, because they came out with the Lord of the Rings first, and then they did the Hobbit. So if you go back though and watch the Lord of the Rings, watch the making of when you get a chance. No, no, you don't have an assignment, but you really have. You really do. Like, that is one of those things where you won't regret watching them. They are very long, so make sure if you are gonna jump into it and do it, make sure you got your popcorn, you got your cozy blanket, and you got some time on your hands, because they are lengthy movies. But when they filmed The Lord of the Rings, they actually moved the cast, everybody, to New Zealand for the entire production of it, for the whole length of time, to film all 3 of those movies. As a matter of fact, I think they actually ended up filming the 3 movies, and then the when they did the Hobbit movies, I think they did pretty close to that same thing, but they used a lot of scenery and clips and whatnot from when they previously had already filmed. But I think they ended up moving to New Zealand for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. 3, like, one of the guys even took a job when he wasn't on set in town where they were all living, like, because they were living there. So yeah, it was crazy, and they lived there and filmed all the time for those whole 3 movies. and they go through the whole discussion. It's so amazing and fun to watch, the behind the scenes of how they did all that work. To me, that's kind of the thing that I'm interested in more than the movies themselves. Is I'm really, really into the behind the scenes stuff, and that's something. Yeah, exactly. That is something like Orlando Bloom, um, who plays Legolas. So you have to go watch this one because Orlando Bloom, this was his first movie, role that he took on, like his big first movie role. And he plays Legolas. And he talks in the making about how right when he got this job, he had just had major surgery on his back because he had broke his back in a really bad accident. And one of his first tasks was riding a horse in The Lord of the Rings. Needless to say, not a very comfortable thing for him to go through, but he swallowed it up, dealt with the pain that came with it, the risk, the serious risk that came with getting on a horse after having major spinal surgery. Um, and portraying the part of Legolas, who, by the way, I think every heterosexual woman has fallen in love with Legolas because he is, well, it's Orlando Bloom, and he's gorgeous in the role. You have to see it to understand what I'm talking about. And there's just something about the elves in The Lord of the Rings that is so majestic and so amazing. There is a character in, I'm not going to tell you which one, but there's a character in The Hobbit who they created just for the movie role because this character is not in the book. So I won't say who it is. But yeah, there's a character that is made specifically for just this the movie. I think that's amazing. He was able to do that. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like when he talks in his interview and stuff, like this was his first movie gig, like first big movie gig was Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, oh crap, because he also plays in, if I'm correct, Pirates of the Caribbean. Um, yeah, that's Orlando Bloom as well. Um, and so, but you see him in Lord of the Rings, and he is just, he's such a young man. I think he said he was like 20, 21 years old when he got that role. It was his big movie break. And let me look, I'll tell you what it was that happened to him. He says what it was, right? So okay. So here's what happened. He says, when I was 19 years old, I fell 3 floors from a window and broke my back. He said in the joint Instagram video with UNICEF, I was very fortunate to survive the fall because my spinal cord was still just intact, barely intact. When I was in the hospital, I was told for the first 4 days that I may never walk again. Yeah. He had a near fatal fall in 1998. So here's a little more info on it. Hold on, I'll tell you. It says that's me and my, or he's talking about his back brace and whatnot. Where's it at? I want to read the rest of that. Oh my God, he was just a baby in that. Oh. He fell 3 floors from a window and crushed his spine. So it's Bloom's near fatal injury was the result of an attempt to get onto a rooftop terrace by leaping onto a drain pipe that ended up giving away. The actor, who fell 3 stories, shattered his vertebrae, with the doctor at the time telling him he wasn't sure how severe the spinal cord damage was. They told him he may never walk again. Yeah. He said that when they told him he may not never walk again, like it just drove him to push even harder. Says Bloom spent a few weeks in the hospital before walking on his own with out on his own with lithium pins in his spine. Despite his injury, and as evident by his Instagram photos, the actor went right back to riding his bike. But that choice had its own consequences. When Bloom returned to the hospital to have all the pins removed, the doctor found them all fractured and coming out in shards, with one pin driven so deep into the spine could not be removed. Sir. Sir. My gosh. Crazy. And the fact that his first movie role ended up being Legolas. That's so crazy. He almost died. Fell 3 stories. 3 stories, crushing his spine. God. Yeah, the fact that he plays Legolas. Ah. Yeah, we know that part. Yeah, so his first movie role ever that he took on was like his big break, I should say, was The Lord of the Rings. He had one other little movie role that he played as a rent boy in a 1990 film, Wild Something. He played as Will Turner in Pirates of the Caribbean after that. So, and that's crazy though, right? Like, The Lord of the Rings is really, really good. And he, of course, reprises the role of Legolas in the Battle, the what do you call it, Hobbit movies. So you get to see him again in those movies as well. So, yeah, I'm just like, oh my god, so great, so great, yeah. And Liv Campbell, that is not her name. Um, what the heck is his name? Oh my god, Liv Tyler, Steven Tyler's daughter, lead singer of Aerosmith. His daughter Liv plays in The Lord of the Rings as well. Um, and she is just stunningly beautiful, of course. So if you want to see her and her absolute beauty, you really do need to watch the movies. So, but yeah, so that's that. I'm going to get off here though, and I'm going to try to lay down. I might need to make myself something to eat because I am starving, and I've been picking at that little dry chicken, and it is dry. Has no, like, nothing to it consistency wise. It's just powder. Um, so I am going to make myself something quick to eat. and then I'm going to lay down because we're going to go move that stuff from the storage unit tomorrow. Shouldn't take us too long. It's just a little 5-foot unit. Move it into the moving truck and move it down and go drop the truck off. So yeah, I want to get that done as quickly as I can tomorrow. And then we can kind of just chill from there. We took a bunch of stuff out of the RV and put it into the storage unit already. So, all right. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow evening, possibly. And we will go over a bunch of different like series that we can give a try to and start looking into possibly doing some reaction videos. We'll see. Bye. Good night, guys.